In this tutorial, I'm going to go over the anatomy of the XML editor. Let's begin with the alias name. On top of the editor, you have the alias name. In our example, it's called Gallery. We also reference this under your favorites. To change this, simply select it and type in the new title you'd like to call it. I'm going to call this one Slideshow. Next to it has the location of where this XML file is located on your server. Also has the last modified date. Under that, you have your root node. Now, it doesn't have to be called root. You can change this to anything you want. I'm going to call mine content. To do this, simply select inside the text area and change it. As you can see, that right now there's no value inside of the root node, and we would like to add another node. Maybe since this is a slideshow, let's add some images. So I'm going to click on child, which will simply add a child node, which is actually child of the parent node, or now the root node content. Let's rename this one to image. I'm going to actually expand image here. And as you can see, we have more options. And say in image, we want to add an attribute. It's easy to do that. Just click attribute. New attribute's added. To rename that, select it. I'm going to call this one title. And I'm going to give this one a value of, let's call this one sunset. And here, I like to use an image. You can simply select the image view to now give you the image view of this node value. Now the XML in the background doesn't necessarily change. It's just how the editor reads it. You click on Browse. It will open up the files on your server. Locate the images you want to use. I want to use this one. And as you can see, under Content, we have an image node. We have a title attribute with value of sunset, and we have no value of golden sunset. But let's say we actually want to make this image an attribute and leave the node value for content. Well, simply change this back to text view. We could copy this path. Let me create an attribute here. Let's call this one the image. You could actually just paste in the path to it, change to image view, and as you can see, the image gets loaded in. And in here, we can write a brief description about the sunset. Golden sunset. What's great about this is now, once we have one created, we can easily duplicate this and do another image. All you have to do is select duplicate, expand it, and as you can see, this one is identical to the top one. So let's change this image. Let's call this one just the beach. Let's call this one beach view. Now, as you notice, there's some other options available here. C data. If you check C data, this will be great in case you want to use HTML tags inside of the XML file. For example, if I want to bold this, I could do it like so. Type it in the bold HTML tags. Now, if you did this without C data, you most likely will break the site when you try to load this XML file in, because the XML parser will try to pretend that this is actually a node when in fact it really isn't. It's just HTML tags. So make sure you have CDAT checked if you plan on using those. There's also a visual option. The visual option is the ability to actually see the text actually being bold or some other basic HTML tags. There's a little warning that prompts you to let you know that certain CSS or certain HTML tags might be removed, and there's no undo with this. But I'm going to hit proceed, and as you can see, the beach text is not bold. You can even select it, you could unbold it, you could italicize it, You can even change the font size. You can even add a link here. So we'll just say click here. I'm going to italicize this. Click the link icon. Enter the link. You can add a target. In this case, I don't need to. I'm just going to hit OK. And as you can see, you now have a link added. If you click on it, it'll just prompt the dialog box to open up again with the value. If you want to remove it, simply delete it, hit OK, and your link is removed. Now let's go over some of these other options. If you roll over the node name, we already went over attribute. What is child node? Child node will actually create a child node inside of image. So now image is now the parent node of child node. This is useful for certain editing if the structure of the XML requires so. Let me remove that. Sibling. Sibling will actually create an empty node within the same scope of your images. So you can start fresh here. And we went over duplicate, which actually just duplicates the node that you're currently on. Remove actually removes the node altogether and all the information. So if you're happy with this, just hit save. Once your information is saved, it's saved on your server, and your favorite name is also updated. And that's just a brief overview of the XML Editor anatomy.